Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. We'll start it off with Binance. I want to talk a little bit about the bigger picture of Binance and why it is pretty important to me, even though I am not on Binance and I'm not a trader of Binance. Why it matters to me and why I think it is important is for a number of reasons. Number one, it was one of the first coins to go bullish in 2019, and really its bottom was before 2019, and you can't say that for many coins. Number two, it had one of the most bullish moves to start 2019. And number three, it's obviously a major exchange. So for those reasons, it's very important to me what Binance is doing. There's been many times where we have used Litecoin as a bit of a lead indicator because Litecoin was one of the first of the major coins to go bullish as well in 2019 and change its weekly trend. But that for me is important. So I was just commenting earlier today in the chat room where it's very important for me to find a monthly high or low in Binance. And when we're confident that that monthly high or low has been set, with either a significant daily trend change or a weekly trend change, that is going to make me more confident being bullish in the crypto space as a whole. So looking at this monthly chart, we're certainly looking for a monthly high or low to form. We are at this $20 psychological level. We are testing the monthly exponential 12-period support, and the volume is dropping off. Again, this is exactly what the bulls want to see. Increasing bull volume on the way up, decreasing on the way down, and we're seeing that pattern follow through yet again. So we know it's just a matter of time before this monthly high or low forms. The question for me is it here at this base of $20, or are we going to see another leg down into the upper teens? And we don't have much information right now, aside from the fact that we know the bulls have a lot more proving to do. Looking at the weekly time frame, it's just a slow, steady little pullback. We have the potential bear cross of these weekly exponential moving averages coming up. That's noteworthy as well. But essentially what's going on in the daily time frame is the bulls are building a base of support just under $20, and they're playing defense. But one thing that they're not doing is going on offense. So once we can see some offense on the daily chart, break some resistance levels, change the daily trend, that will be notable. We've been trading within this range between 1965 and 2352, a pretty wide range of about 20%. But we've been within that range now for the last month plus, pretty much a month. So we're waiting patiently for a break of this range, and with where we stand right now, we are closer to a bear break than we are to a bull break. Not by a whole lot, but it is a bit closer, and it'll be notable for me, just like it was with other coins like Ethereum and Litecoin, when they saw the daily trend change and then the bull cross of these exponential moving averages on the daily chart. That will be notable for me on Binance. We came real close here, but we want to see the first real bull cross since the all-time highs, and that's going to make us a lot more confident that that monthly high or low has been set. So like I said, personally, I'm not going to play Binance because I'm on Coinbase, and that's where I am comfortable in the crypto space right now, but I will be watching Binance, the coin here, to look for when that base of support is set. So there is going to be an opportunity for bulls in Binance to find that monthly high or low. It's just a question of whether it is here or whether we have to wait a bit longer. And I personally, if I'm looking long term and I'm looking, a year out, I would begin scaling in personally to a bullish position very slowly. I would make an initial entry now in case this 1965 level is our bottom, but I personally would expect another leg down, and I would have a good bit of cash waiting for lower lows to scale in a bit for that monthly consolidation. So looking at Bitcoin, let's go to our regular technical analysis. And for the Binance technical analysis, we're looking for a daily high or low to form compared to $20. Let's look at it on the 12-hour time frame. I'm finding a lot of clarity on the 12-hour time frame for a lot of charts. So we want to hold that level down at $20, and then we need the bulls to make their way back up to the 23s, which is our very key resistance level. But so far we have every candlestick a lower high for the last 7 candles on the 12-hour time frame. And that pattern has to change for even the short-term momentum to shift back to the bulls. So Binance at this point, or I should say Bitcoin, I'm watching the 12-hour time frame as well. So we'll zoom in there in a minute. But starting on the weekly chart, we know Bitcoin is in a tightening weekly pattern. We know the bulls are battling to defend this exponential 12-period support. We did close just below it 1 week before getting right back over it. But the bottom line is we're watching support of 9,321, and we're watching resistance of 10,940. So we are about $700 above support, roughly speaking, and we are about $900 below resistance. So fairly close to the midway point. Bears have a slight edge. This is a potential descending triangle pattern, which could very easily break bearish. Again, I'm putting it at maybe a 55% chance of a bull break because I am still confident in the cryptocurrency space and the way things have been holding up. But I know that it very easily could break in either direction. So it's important to have a game plan for either direction. If we get a bear break, I'm going to be looking down into the upper $7,000 range. If we get a bull break, we're going to be looking right back up at 12,300. And again, we are likely to see a break within 2 weeks. And we know that break can happen at any time. And it will be accompanied by a big volume spike, in my opinion. So looking at it on the daily time frame, we had the bulls defending support significantly 2 days ago. But it's the 12-hour time frame that has to change the trend. We have not changed the trend on the 12-hour chart since 10,900s, and we have to see a hold of 9,585. Essentially what I'm watching is our low, high of the bull save, and now we need a higher low and a higher high to shift that short-term momentum and for the bulls to gain a lot of confidence on that weekly chart. Because if we do that, and if we change that 12-hour trend, then we're much closer to a bull break on the weekly time frame than we would be to a bear break. So that's what we're watching. If we pull back anymore, I would definitely be watching for a 12-hour equilibrium to play out over the next few days through the weekend. And short-term time frame, need to see some hourly and 4-hour trend changes for our 12-hour higher low to be established. Ethereum on the daily time frame. First, let's go weekly. Let's look bigger picture. So weekly time frame, we are over the exponential resistance. That's notable to me. But anything under 239 is a weekly lower high. So if we cannot break 239, we will have to form a weekly higher low and change the trend. Keeping in mind that both Ethereum and Litecoin and a lot of these altcoins haven't changed the weekly trend. We just saw a straight bull move. And if we go back and look at Bitcoin and how its significant move has started on this weekly time frame from the low, we changed the weekly trend. So we need to see that on Ethereum and Litecoin. And that's going to mean we're likely going to have to lose the daily uptrend at some point. So when the daily uptrend is lost, it's not game over for the bulls. We will look for a weekly higher low to form compared to 163, and then we'll have to change that weekly trend to be really confident that our monthly higher low that we're looking for has been set. ETH BTC still extremely strong, holding on very well, and we're looking at the 4-hour time frame here. There's a base of support. We have 2107. That's a key level. If we lose 2107, that's going to be a red flag for the short term, just indicating daily consolidation is coming. We've been holding this 4-hour exponential 12-period support for a long time now, a week plus. And on the daily chart, we'll just look for a higher low, and we'll watch daily exponential support if we do see that 4-hour time frame break. Keeping in mind, same thing, ETH BTC, it's a great move, but we are just looking at a weekly lower high and weekly exponential resistance, and we will be much more confident in these altcoins, these large cap altcoins, when they change both the US dollar and the Bitcoin pairing weekly trends. So Litecoin on the weekly chart, rejecting from its exponential resistance and a big upper wick and much less space. Let's just look at the percentage space here that the bulls have to work with to form a weekly higher low from where we stand right now, 15%. And if we look at ETH for a weekly higher low, how much space do the bulls have to work with? Way more, down at 24%. So that makes the bulls more comfortable. LTC has to see a weekly higher low and a higher high in order to get a convincing monthly higher low that we're keeping an eye out for, and it's certainly not convincing at this point. As far as the daily chart goes, getting real tight, multiple inside bars, increasing volume on the way up, decreasing volume as we are back testing. Previous exponential resistance is now trying to act as support, and the bulls really want to hold on to that level while we look for a daily higher low to form. So the 12-hour time frame, we can see it's nice and tight. The 4-hour chart, we have a equilibrium that did break bear, but it is still holding on a bit. We have our high, low, lower high. And you could have looked at this multiple different ways. You could have looked at this as our higher low, and this is the way that I would have looked at it. I would have looked at this as our higher low, lower high, bear break. But if we wanted to use a different time frame, again, we can always find different time frames to make things more clear. Let's see what the 6-hour chart looks like, or the 8-hour chart. Again, I don't usually use these time frames, but I would be looking at our high. This is the 8-hour, low, lower high, higher low. Bulls are trying to hold that higher low, and then we would look for a lower high compared to 77, 67. So a little bit of a battle going on in the low 70s, trying to hold the support and trying to keep the consolidation on the daily healthy, because if we break the low 70s, then it's still going to be a daily higher low that we're looking for, But rather than being a potential continuation pattern, that's the scenario when I'm always watching what consolidation looks like. If we were to hold that level, continuation absolutely possible. If we were to pull back and break that base that's trying to form right now, we look to the upper 60s, and then a tightening daily range would be the more likely scenario from there, as opposed to a continuation move. So that's what I'm always trying to gauge on consolidation. Is it a continuation kind of consolidation, or is it an equilibrium kind of consolidation? And volume usually is a good guide for that as well. So key support tests going on for Litecoin right now. LTC, BTC, very similar daily consolidation, still healthy. Let's not forget the bigger picture. The weekly time frame has to change this trend, and we're a long ways away from doing that. And we need to see shifts on these Bitcoin pairing charts if we're going to be looking for these bulls to get follow through. So daily higher lows on watch for Litecoin and ETH, but where we form those daily higher lows will dictate the percentage odds of what we expect into next week. XRP. So we had the big bull break on XRP, but we had significant consolidation as well. This is a nice tightening pattern. We're going to see a break in the short term. It's a great 4-hour equilibrium. And just looking back previously at how great the daily equilibrium breaking bullish was, huge follow through. This is worth playing. This is worth keeping an eye on, where we have our high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, and the bulls have to hold the support of 2843. If we hold 2843, it's a higher low, so there's a potential bottom fishing play right here where you would put your stop just under 282. I would use that level rather than the closer level, and otherwise you're just patiently waiting for a break. So even if we form a higher low, patiently waiting, 2984 is the most important resistance, and we should see a break of this pattern probably towards the end of this weekend if the bulls can form this higher low here. So that's one to be watching, and if we get a bull break, our daily higher low is established, and I would then expect a daily lower high compared to 327. And if we get a bear break, then we're looking at, again, more of a equilibrium setup where we will still be looking for a daily higher low to form, but because of the size of the pullback, we will then just be looking for a daily lower high and a long drawn out equilibrium. EOS USD, support is down at 382. The bulls are trying to shift momentum here. Anything on the daily under 418 is just a lower high. So looking at it on the 4-hour chart, we did get a nice 4-hour trend change, not a ton of follow through, but daily chart has to see continuation of this move, because if we see a lower high here, and if we fail to break 424, and then we drop down and break 382, we lose the daily uptrend, which means zoom out and look for weekly consolidation. And we would then look for a weekly higher low to form compared to 327. And last, XLM. There's an opportunity approaching an XLM, in my opinion. We're looking for a daily higher low to form, and this is a pattern that just stands out to me. When you have a huge move and this significant a pullback, you know an equilibrium is very likely to take place. Let's look at oil. Why am I looking at oil? Because this pattern rings a bell for me as something pretty recent that just happened on oil. So oil on the daily time frame, big bull move, significant pullback, and while we haven't gotten a significant amount of bull follow through from this higher low, 57.64 was that low, and as the bulls are looking for that higher low, we ended up with a 3% bounce at this point. But the bottom line is, it's a similar pattern with a big bull move and a big pullback, and then looking for that higher low to form. So XLM is looking for this higher low to form. It's testing its low of consolidation right now. The 4-hour time frame is down at that low, so that low is 709. And right now we are at 708, so just at the low of consolidation currently. And what I would be watching for is a falling wedge on the hourly time frame. If we see a bear break of this support and a lack of follow through, that means keep an eye out for an hourly falling wedge looking for our daily higher low to form. So no indication just yet, but certainly worth keeping a close eye on things, because when we change this hourly trend, it'll be the first indication that our daily higher low has been set, and we will then be looking for a bounce and a daily lower high to form. Again, not looking for home run gains, but just looking for enough upside to make that trade worthwhile. So keep an eye on that hourly falling wedge, and let's see if we can get a bull break. Again, if we were to drop down and this bear break were to get more convincing, that tells us, okay, it's not an hourly falling wedge, because an hourly falling wedge, the basic principle of the pattern is bear breaks with a lack of follow through, which shows bearish exhaustion. So if we were to drop down, let's say under 7 cents. That would obviously say, okay, that is meaningful bear follow through. We don't have a higher low yet, and let's patiently wait for hourly oversold conditions. So this morning, the next 2-3 hours will be pretty telling as to whether or not this is a potential falling wedge on the hourly time frame. So again, keep an eye on XLM for its daily higher low to try and form in the near term future. Keep an eye on Binance longer term pattern, looking for a monthly higher low to try and form. Keep an eye on Bitcoin's weekly pattern, likely to break within the next 2 weeks, and we'll take it from there. Hope you have a good rest of your Saturday. Do good things, and we'll see you next time.